if I felt good in there, I'm just telling you, it was a good performance, but it could have been better, and that's all I can say about that. They can take it however they want. That was a big win for me. It answered a lot of questions. And for me to get my first submission on somebody, I mean, he was out there threatening me as I'm beating him down. My ground and pound is crazy. All I know is I performed good, and I'm happy with what I did, and it's only up from here. Every time you go out there, you better be proving yourself. I'm a wrestler, but you ain't finna see me sniffing no crotches. Just keep trying to build me however y'all want to build me. But if I was gonna be selfish, what's up, Ian Gary? What's up? I would love to fight him next. I'm not even half of where I'm gonna be, and that's just telling the truth. Most of my camp was done at home in my front yard, backyard, running through my neighborhood. Ain't nobody ever came to my house and helped me train, and over 70% of my camp was done in my front yard, in my backyard on my own.
All right, so today I'm joined by Jacobe Smith after a second round rear naked choke finish over Niko Price at UFC 317. Welcome back, man. How you been?
Pretty good. Appreciate you having me, baby.
Of course, man. So congrats on the win. How does it feel, another finish on a big card, pay-per-view card? Just give me your thoughts coming off of that.
Oh, felt pretty good, man. I feel like I did what I had to do to get the job done. So that's always nice.
Yeah. Did you get tested in there? I mean, it seems like you did from an outside perspective.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was tested in there,
Yeah.
Everything ain't gonna go perfect like you expected, and it's about how you deal with the hiccups for sure.
Mm-hmm. And are you proud of yourself? Maybe is that like one of the biggest things coming out of the fight for you? Is how you dealt
Yeah,
with
for
some of the
sure.
adversity?
Yeah, I mean, I'm used to dealing with adversity for sure, but yeah, I was proud of it because, I haven't had a submission and I've been wanting one for a while. So
Is that
don't mind the
something you train a
construction.
lot?
It's construction going on around here, so don't mind
Okay.
that.
No, you good. It's fine. Do you train that a lot? Because you jumped on that rear naked choke like quick.
I actually don't.
Oh,
It
really?
just I got a good feel for doing what I gotta do, with the wrestling. And I feel like that relates very well when it comes to jiu-jitsu and wrestling. The crossover is pretty much like butter, pretty much.
Okay. Was it something where
Smooth.
you'd seen he was a little bit ready for like to go for that submission? Because you guys were just going at it for like as long as the fight lasted.
Yeah, we were definitely getting it. He was busting his ass out there. I just feel like, I mean, I didn't plan on it being in the second round, but it happened the way I thought it was gonna happen. And when
Okay.
it went when I got that rear naked, like I didn't even have the foot in yet all the way. It was so deep, I didn't even have to throw the foot in, but it just happened the way it happened. But once I locked my hands, it was over.
Hmm. And did you plan like a submission at all? Because you said you wanted to, but like, were you planning on going in there and like ending it with a submission in a way?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I wanted to put on a show for the fans, and the knockout was on my mind, but the night before I was thinking, man, it would be pretty nice to have a submission, especially with, 2025. I got the first knockout of the year, for the UFC, and then the stat of getting the greatest betting odds in UFC history, So what haven't I done, A submission, and it slipped right in, and I feel like it happened the way it was supposed to happen.
Okay. And yeah, so you're getting like a lot of push, I would say. I mean, minus 300 3,000 favorite. Niko Price in your second fight in the UFC is kind of crazy, you know?
Yeah,
You were calling
yeah,
for like
but
Sam Patterson and stuff like that. They threw you a higher ranked guy.
yeah, for sure. And I know I lived up to it, but I didn't know how much that he was gonna test me. I've only trained with people that he's fought, and they telling me you're gonna kill this dude. He ain't got nothing for you. He's washed, this and that. Well, he wasn't washed for sure. And I went out there and showed my toughness and did what I had to do.
Did you think like when you saw the fact that you're minus 3,000, was it like, damn, against Niko, like people are underestimating him? Or like, what was your initial reaction to that? Like, did you think you deserved that almost? Or were you like, that's kind of crazy, like disrespecting Niko?
Well, for me, I don't understand the betting odds and none of that stuff, but once I seen it, my corner, Kyle Crutchmer, Nick, and them, they explaining exactly what it means to me. And I'm just like, it ain't nothing, because, you got people that enter tournaments and they're number one seed, they're expected to do this. And then you got underdogs like me coming and taking everything that they worked for. And that's pretty much what was on my mind. Like, but I reversed the roles and put myself as, being the underdog, being the favorite, and just kept my head down and was ready to go no matter what was going to happen.
Okay, so you kind of flipped the script in your own mind to where
Yeah, for
like you
sure.
didn't have to take on that responsibility of being like the expected winner. You kind of
Yeah.
were like, this is a test for me. Like this guy on paper should almost beat me with all the experience he has, or
No,
something like that.
not should beat me. Ain't nobody gonna
Okay,
beat.
yeah, that
Ain't
was probably badly
Yeah,
said. Yeah, yeah,
definitely not beat me.
yeah.
But I went out there and got ready, and for the fight before, I had 2 weeks, 11 days, and I got ready, but the confidence wasn't as high as it was because I had almost 2.5 months to know my date. I knew my date, so as long as I'm in shape and I don't have aches and pains, I can go with anybody and do whatever, and obviously there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that a lot of people don't need to know about that, I'm not going to use as an excuse. Like, but Niko Price is definitely a worthy opponent, and I respect him for stepping in there with me.
Okay. As far as the things that are happening behind the scenes, I've heard you mention it a couple times, and I understand if you don't want to like touch on it, but in a way, are you looking to maybe change this going into your next fight, or like are they temporary kind of like hurdles you're kind of dealing with?
Yeah, just temporary, life has just been hitting me, and I've always just learned to put your head down and deal with it, work hard, and you'll get through it, and obviously that's what happened. But you know obviously when I used to win in college, I don't care how good it was, my coach would always come to me and be like, you need to do this, we should have been here, boom boom, and touched here, and it would have been a flawless victory. We didn't get a flawless victory, so we need to go back and work on some more stuff to create that perfect wrestler. And that's how I approach this fight game. None of us are perfect, and obviously shit happens, and anything can happen in there when you with fighting top people in the world. And I'm blessed because I know how to prepare myself and get so far ahead of the curve that you know everything else will take care of itself, no matter how big the mistake or how crazy something happened. And I think that showed in there in the cage.
Okay. And now looking back on the fight a little bit, people are saying after that first exchange, you came out hot, big takedowns, big power shots early, right? And then they're
Yeah,
saying you got a little bit winded. From your perspective, were you winded?
not when we were striking,
But when
but
you
when I
guys like
took him.
got up from that first exchange,
Yeah, I wasn't. I mean, obviously I'm tired and I'm in there dealing with my muscles being feeling heavy, but I wasn't winded. Like my gas tank is what got me through all of that shit. I just felt heavy, dealing with, like, when we first started, everything felt crisp. Everything was like bam, bam. I'm returning back to, I'm breathing, everything is right. But when I touched him and he seemed to when that right hand touched him, I was like, if I touch him with this right hand clean enough, he ain't gonna be able to, it's gonna put him out. And so I just went crazy trying to get that. And obviously, a lot of people think I was in there tired. No, my body is still recovering. I didn't get over 174 pounds when I was in the cage. I was small. So, you cut all that weight, you taking your energy out. And I'm in there, I'm having to force myself to eat because I'm not hungry. I'm not this. And usually I am. And once you get in there and you start burning that energy and you realize I didn't put no energy back in, that's what I was dealing with. I didn't have nothing. And I pushed through that and made it look like I mean, obviously my muscles were, fatigued, and I got almost a 3% body fat when I'm down to weight, 2.5% body fat. And a lot of people don't understand what that is, or
Somewhat
understand.
unhealthy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you got to you got to be smart, because when I was in college doing this, my body would lock up and cramp and I couldn't
Mm.
move. So, not putting that energy or the right things back in to even help with that, I was being smart. Like, a lot of people don't see this stuff behind the scenes, and I do. And next fight, I tweak that and get that feeling. If I felt good in there, I'm just telling you, it was a good performance, but it could have been better, and that's all I can say about that.
Okay, I understand. So you just were having to manage energy stores
Yes,
because of a
energy.
little bit of a
Yes.
difficult weight cut.
Yeah, and no, it wasn't difficult. The way I'm small, I don't get over 178 pounds unless I'm lifting. And I don't lift. I haven't lifted since I was at Oklahoma State. And they used to force me to lift, I wouldn't lift. I like, because all these muscles, I don't want to put more on it. I want to stay, loose, be flexible. So I focus on cardio, running, being able to breathe in certain situations, and that's my main focus. But I focused so much on that, I wasn't, and on top of all the stress, it was hard for me to gain back weight, put that energy back in me. So, I mean, with wrestling, it taught me how to deal with that. You cut all this weight, you still got to wrestle, I don't care how bad you feel, you're going to push through that. You're going to do what you got to do, or they'll find somebody else. Well, with the fight game, it's a little different, but I just relate everything back to that. And I mean, they can take it however they want. That was a big win for me. It
That's a
answered a
huge
lot
win.
of questions. It answered a lot of questions. And for me to get my first submission on somebody, I mean, he was out there threatening me as I'm beating him down. My ground and pound is crazy. And I know I was small. If I had like 10 more pounds on me, they would have been that much more devastating. You know what I mean? And, you know, all you can do is say what if, but all I know is I performed good, and I'm happy with what I did, and it's only up from here.
Yeah, okay. So those are like the tweaks you want to make. And I was even thinking like if you're barely cutting weight, then why not drop down to 55? But it's like if you're already so low of body fat,
Yeah,
you kind of are in that
that's what it
situation where you
is.
have weight to gain, to
Yeah.
cut.
Yeah. So I've cut to 165 pounds when I was in college, and I did a full workout. And usually a full workout sweats everything on. I'm losing like 10, 11 pounds, I only lost a half a pound.
Damn.
And I was like, that's when I knew, 155 is just, obviously there's professionals out there that can help me, or this and that, but I've done this for a long time, dealing with weight and wrestling and feeling like shit and still overcoming it. And from that aspect, and I feel like I'm professional there. I just don't think my body can make it.
Mm. Okay, I got you. That makes sense,
So it would
honestly.
be nice if they,
Had a
that big ass gap
165
from
or something.
155 to 170, 165, throw 165 in there, and 170. I mean, I know it would fuck up the whole thing, or what, but make it the weight 174. And so you got that big ass. That's why I didn't wrestle in college, because it's such a big gap, just like that. So I would have to cut down to like 150 something to wrestle on the world team. And the next weight up is like 186 pounds. I can't get that
Right.
big,
Because there's
or
fewer weight classes in
yeah,
USA wrestling, yeah.
you know. So it's like that threshold right in there, 166, 165-ish. Like, if that was a weight, I don't feel like nobody in the world would be able to compete with me, because I would be big for the weight, comfortable, not doing too much killing on myself. But 170 is good,
Definitely. You can gain a little bit of weight. I think you'll see some improvements off that. But yeah, Kevin Lee and stuff like that, he was a big advocate because he was one of those guys in the middle too. Remember, he's
Yeah,
pretty lean himself,
for
and he
sure.
fought at 170, but he was too big to go down to 55. So
Yeah.
makes sense, honestly. Dana hates it though. Dana doesn't want the 65, probably because he knows in the back of his mind he's got to move 170 up to 174. Now
Yeah,
that
but
you just
then
kind
you
of
get these
explained that.
little guys, like, look, listen to this. You So you got 125, right? The next weight up is 135. That's a 10-pound difference.
It's
But then when you
only,
get to
yeah.
155, it's like, all right, the next weight is 170. Like, why are we playing that game there? Or, like
Then
it
185
just,
is the next one up too. It's 15 both
so it's just
ways.
like, you know, it is what it is. Ain't no excuses. This is what it is. And so that's what I got to build my body around and my profession around to become the world champ.
Okay, got you. And last thing about the fight, did you happen to get a bonus or anything? I didn't pay attention to them.
Absolutely
No
not.
bonus. Did
Mm-mm.
you get any like I guess you don't want to disclose it, but I don't know. I'll tell you what I heard. Dana said that people who got finishes, he's gonna help them out. So I don't
I
know.
didn't
Maybe hit
hear
up your
that.
manager. I heard him at the press conference. He said that.
Yeah, I didn't hear it. I didn't watch the press conference. I was trying to stay after the fight and watch because this is fucking UFC fight week. I'm proud. I'm trying to be in there and watch them fights. And we couldn't get back in the arena. And then I'm still fucking broke. I ain't finna pay for that pay-per-view, you know.
80 bucks
And
is a lot right now
so
still.
I'm running around Vegas trying to find somewhere to watch the fights. It's a terrible situation. I feel like, Bellator, they take care of their fighters. They ain't kicking them out of the building and telling them they can't come back in and watch and only letting certain people back in to watch. You can't get back in here unless you're on the main card or whatever the case is. I don't know what it is, but I know Jacobe Smith couldn't get back in to watch the fights. So I had to wait until or figure something else out on my own. And I mean that's just what it was.
Do you have to, are you allowed to wait in the back like as long as you want, or are they kind of like, all right, like let's get you out of here kind of?
Uh, I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, how they did it, they put you go see the doctors, and then they like, all right, you need to get back to your hotel and do whatever. And then once that's done, I'm asking like, can I get back over? Can I go back in or whatever, do whatever? And I mean, it's not like they told me you can stay here and chill and do this or do that. Like I'm texting DC, like, hey, can I come back over and can you get me back in and watch the fights or whatever? And trying to get back in. And I feel like that's a problem.
Mm-hmm. No, you
Yeah.
guys should at least have like a room in the back or something where you can kick it, watch the fights. There's no
Yeah,
like
for
pizza
sure.
in the back room or something with like the fights on with like foldable chairs. I'm like
I
imagining
mean,
it right now. That's what I would have.
if it is, it's not for Jacoby Smith.
Main card fighters or some shit like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I feel
I
you.
still got some proving to do.
Okay, for sure. Well, hey, they put
Mhm.
you on that International Fight Week card in your second fight. I think they were showcasing a lot of their up and coming fighters. That guy Jose Delgado,
Yeah, he's a beast.
yeah, Joshua Van, all young
Hmm.
guys and
Oh
like
yeah.
a few fights in the UFC, you know what I mean? So I think that was whoever got on that card, I think it was kind of like the UFC's subtle way of saying like, we believe in you, we're trying to push you here, we're gonna put you in front of a lot of
Absolutely.
fans.
Yeah. And that's where I respect them so much for that because, you got it's a lot of us in this roster, you know,
Yeah,
and
tons.
who knows the process they got to go through. And so every time you go out there, you better be proving yourself. I'm a wrestler, but you ain't finna see me sniffing no crotches. Let's get out here and have some fun. This is what we getting paid for. Let's get
Right.
paid.
Okay. And if you don't want to address it, it's fine, but I'll just ask you anyway in case you do want to navigate like your next opponent and stuff. Thoughts on a date or opponent or anything like that?
Uh, I mean, I'm not too caught up on nobody. Just just keep trying to build me however y'all want to build me. But if I was gonna be selfish, what's up, Ian Gary? What's up? I would love to fight him next. But that's skipping the line for a lot of people. And but if I could have it my way and I was in with Dana White and had some pull, I'm like, let me get Ian Gary next because I'm gonna show y'all some things.
When you watch Ian Gary fight, you like that matchup for yourself then?
No, I think he's a great fighter and all this. I just with the way he run his mouth and I just want to shut him up. I want to be the one to shut him up.
Hmm. So you watch him, you're like, all right, give me this kid right here.
Hmm.
Okay, for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, soon enough, I think you're right there in the conversation. If you haven't looked yet, um, with the win over Nico, like you've entered a new echelon. Like if they make you fight up, I mean it's all like somewhat name value guys. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like it's not no more like no name value for you at this point.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. And that's not a big deal. It's just like it's really time to start getting after it, you know,
That's what I was thinking
perfecting
when I
my
saw
team. I
that.
got to perfect my team because I can't be having holes in my game nowhere. And being with seeing how Charles Oliveira and Ilia Topuria carry themselves and they team got their back, you know, it's like they ready, they accounting for things that might happen that didn't, you know. It's just like if something go wrong, we prepare for the worst. And you know, they just so professional, and that's how I want to get my team. And right now, I'm not. I don't consider myself. I consider myself an amateur fighter. You know, so I'm very willing to, you know, slow down and build myself up because I know I'm not even half of where I'm gonna be, and that's just telling the truth. You know, most of my camp was done at home in my front yard, backyard, running through my neighborhood. You know, and you know, Ilia Topuria got his whole team. He's showing up to the team every day, strength and conditioning, professionals getting him to do this, doing that, doing that. But then you got me waking up, staying home, homeschooling my kids, waiting until my wife gets off work at 5, and then, you know, put my stuff on, going for a run through the neighborhood, shadow boxing, you know, calling whoever I can. Most of the times, nobody ever came to my house and helped me train, you know, and over 70% of my camp was done in my front yard and my backyard on my own. So
Damn.
y'all
Still?
seeing y'all seeing this for me. This is me. This is me, you know.
Well, because I mean, everybody knows to some degree that you train at Fortis, but I remember when we were talking in that last interview, you were kind of saying like, I don't really train like that. Like, I don't really go into the gym that often. At least I
Hmm.
thought when you don't have a fight booked, but then you got the fight booked. I thought that you were going to start going in the gym more, but still 70% of the camp
Yeah.
was at
So
home.
yeah, that's what it is for
Is that
me.
because of the living situation or like because you don't want to like something about training partners or something like that? Or what's like the biggest
I guess
contributing factor?
I guess it's a little bit of everything, you know. I'm not the type of guy to go out of my way and ask them, you know. I feel like moving from AKA to Fortis, you know, that a little bit of an outsider in a sense. And I ain't finna be like, hey, y'all need to be here doing this for me and this and that, making demands on people that, you know, this is their home. It was their home before mine. And, you know, so I'm trying to build my team how Elia Taporia or Charles did theirs. And so it ain't a question, you know. I got them calling me, telling me where I need to be, holding me accountable, doing this. But you got them, they had a job and was doing all this before I even came in the picture. And now that I'm in the picture, I'm not going out of my way to ask people to do this for me or do that for me because I know how to get up and bust my ass and push myself, honestly.
I got you, okay. Was it more like that when you were training at AKA for a little bit? Like, in other words, would you be down to maybe go to AKA for that type of like, support behind you?
Yeah, AKA it was a team thing. It was like a college, you know, showing up. This is what time practice is. This is what it is, and da 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 da. You know, so obviously that's what I'm looking for. A little bit more structure in myself because it's definitely going to make a difference.
Okay. Do you wanna, stick it out at Fortis then moving forward, or, like, how are you looking to
Absolutely, I'm a loyal guy, but uh, you know, all it is get hold myself more accountable, you know, and building that situation for me. And I don't want to mess up nobody else's plans up there. You know, we got hella people up there, you know.
other fighters that are getting
Yeah.
coached, right? So
And
you don't wanna
they
take
they
away from
all on
them.
their own schedule. We all on
Yeah.
our own schedule, you know. But whereas at AKA, it wasn't like that, you know. It's like
Oh, everybody's on one
everybody is here.
schedule.
This is the training. This is this. This is that. This is this. You know,
Got
this is
you.
how it is. But here, you know, the training at it's just different, you
It's
know. And
more it's more like, spaced out versus, like you
yeah,
just
for
said, AKA
sure.
team practice 6 PM.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Alright.
So
Because I was
I'm
gonna
just
ask
trying to
you, is
find
it
my happy medium, you know?
right? Because I was gonna ask you, is it, like, just as simple as, like, showing up to more practices to get the coaches, like, behind you or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, and I can do that, but then you get up there and nobody that you need is there. You know, you got people that don't know how to, you know, do this shit. They ain't professional to the point where they in there hitting you and you injured, and they just don't understand the whole concept, you know.
Yeah, so you
So
got to build relationships up there.
yeah, you got
Yeah,
to
okay.
build your team, you know. This is me doing me, you know. So
Got you.
I'm a find I'm finding that out right now.
Got you, got you. Makes more sense now what you were saying before, because I thought, like, when you didn't wanna go train with guys who might hurt you or something like that, I thought you were
Yeah.
talking about, like, real UFC fighters, but you're talking about guys who are just training for a hobby, like, and you don't wanna
Yeah.
go mix it up with them, and that makes
Or
sense to
trying to
me.
get to where I'm at, you know, and
Yeah,
they just not there yet. And you know, they hit you with something when you in there just in a level and you only putting out 25%, just feel it, and then boom, you know, or you know, you get injured doing some bullshit that they just didn't understand because they ain't at that level.
right.
So,
Protein practices is something I've seen in a lot of gyms, so I guess Fortis
mhm.
doesn't run it that way, but
Yeah, they
hopefully you
do,
can
but it's
figure it
just
out
like
then.
so everybody is on their shifts, and
Yeah.
it's just so it's hit or miss. You never running into people at the same time. It's just a lot of chaos going on right now that need to be structured up.
Okay, got you. Well, you're working on structuring it up then, it sounds like.
Yeah, because where I'm strengthening myself at home is you know where I know where my strengths are, but I need, you know, the strength and conditioning, that those diets, those, you know, partners that are holding me accountable, knowing this, doing that, boom, this to a T, to where like one day I might wake up and I can't train at 8 o'clock at night, you know. I need them to do this. All right, I'm in the mood to train right now. It's 1 p.m. Let's go. You know, this is my team. I don't have to ask nobody to do nothing. Like, this is our team. This is what it is for the day, you know? Like, instead of I can't come today, you know, my life is set up this way or that way, boom, bam, or you know, showing up and he didn't come today, or you know, it's just so hit or miss right now, and it just needs to be structured up.
Okay, got you. Hopefully then, soon enough, it'll be structured up. Maybe it
Yeah,
just takes
definitely.
time or something because you kind
Yeah,
of,
for
like,
sure.
relocated.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What did DC say after the fight? Was he like, any constructive criticisms? I saw he posted about you saying, like, "Congrats, Jacoby, we're all proud of you," but, maybe, like, a personal message he might have, like, sent you?
Yeah, oh, we talked, and just it was a great performance, you know. We'll get together in a few weeks or so to rediscuss and evaluate how we will push forward from here. But as of now, just recover and enjoy it.
Got you. No constructive criticisms yet then, just letting you enjoy your win.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, got you. And then I was also gonna ask, let me see here, I got it written down actually. Oh, yeah, this is what I was gonna say is, this is the last one I have actually. I saw you were, like, applying to be a firefighter.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so what went behind that?
Yeah, I got everything done. It's all good and dandy. It's just the timeline of my last fight and this fight interrupted with the schedule of what we had going on, and now I got a lot of more opportunities with, you know, changing my life with this. So I'm gonna focus on this a little bit more, but we still in there. We still in
Okay.
there
It
figuring
was
it out.
almost like an insurance policy, like, in case you got to, you're gonna start moving in that direction, but now you're
No,
kinda blowing up
no, no.
immediately.
It's not an insurance policy. It's I know what I want to do with my life, and I've seen Stipe Miocic do it, you know, and
Are you
it's
gonna do
pretty
both at
fucking
the same
dope.
time?
That's the plan. But
Okay.
I want to get this. I want to focus on this because right now, I mean, I'm just using my God-given abilities and keeping myself accountable, but I want to professionalize this to the point where, you know, I'm not worried about nothing in life.
Got you. So one step at a time. Right now, gonna,
Yeah.
patch up holes in the camp, but then you're
Mm-hmm.
still gonna pursue the firefighting, career probably
Absolutely.
moving forward. That's dope,
Yes,
for
absolutely.
sure. And this was actually, I was just gonna ask you, but it skipped my mind. How do you stay so lean, like, with that 2% body fat, especially, like, out of camp? Like, what do you eat in the day and shit like that? Like, you just don't eat any carbs and shit, or what?
I eat whatever the hell I want.
And you
This is
still are
just
that
me.
lean?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, what do you eat
Like I'm
throughout the
a
day, though?
like typical me. I wake up, you know, I'll get some eggs, you know, smack some eggs or chilling through the day, get my electrolytes in me, then I'm getting my sweets going. I'll smash a whole thing of cookies. I can't just eat one. Then I need my shakes. I need then give me maybe a steak in me or something. Then chill, get that out of me. Then find my next roll of sweets, and then I eat what I want.
So you don't stay away from carbs then.
I do,
You be
yeah, I
eating a
do
shit
whatever,
ton of carbs.
whatever I'm in a mood for is going down.
Okay. After you
Yeah.
eat the cookies and shit though, you gotta work out or what? Is that like how you kind of keep it
No,
off?
no.
Dude, that's crazy.
I
Honestly, like
just it
you're
just
like Mr. Olympia like ready if you fucking had like, 40 more pounds on you.
yeah, like
But you be
it's
eating
just
cookies. It's crazy to me.
everything.
Multiple times throughout the day.
Whatever I want to do, I ain't never, I mean, unless I'm lifting weights, I don't see the
Yeah.
weight gaining, you know. But if I start getting under some weights and doing that, I mean, I've been up to 194 pounds when I was with my college team and stuff. It's just, I don't, it, that's my pet peeve. I hate lifting weights. I'd rather get in there and just move around and flow and, burn energy that way.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, actually, it's probably the fact that you don't lift weights while you're not like bulking up heavy. If you start lifting weights with all that carbs you're eating, you're definitely
Hmm.
gonna bulk up like
Yeah.
100%.
For sure. I mean, that's what college wrestling showed me. I mean, I've done trial and errors on a lot of stuff when it comes to dealing with weight. I'm I'm gonna handle it when if it and weight would never be an issue with me when it comes to making weight. It's just I'm I'm a natural. If I wasn't doing nothing, walking around 172 to 70, 175-ish.
Mhm. Damn, that's crazy. All right, so we're
Hmm.
gonna see a crazier physique in the next fight probably then.
Yeah, for sure.
All right,
You're
bro.
gonna we're gonna
That
be
alone
making
makes you
some
go
big
viral, bro.
improvements. Oh
Okay,
yeah.
for sure. Oh yeah, man. All right, well, hey, I appreciate the time and enjoy this win. And I'm looking out for the next fight announcement.
Yes, sir. You have a good one.
All right, thanks, Jacoby. You too.